Hello my friends, and welcome back to the StarSector tutorial and walkthrough series. This is episode 2. In the previous episode we covered chapters 1 through 5, which included topics such as setting up your campaign, salvaging and inventory basics, a taste of combat, building your character, and navigation basics. Now in episode 2 and future episodes we'll be moving a little bit faster and progressively covering more advanced topics. I hope you've been enjoying the series, and let's jump right in with chapter 6. The Transponder, Stealth, and Smuggling. Picking up where we left off in episode 1, we're headed towards Ankara, which is under hegemony control, one of the major factions within the sector. Almost all major factions will require you to have your transponder turned on while within their space. Having your transponder turned on will make you much more visible to other fleets. While within civilized space, this is exactly what we want to do, to make sure the authorities don't find us sus. In hostile space, we wouldn't want to have our transponder on as it makes us easy to track down, but since we need permission to dock at Ankara, we'll need to play by their rules. The transponder is assigned to the 1 key by default and must be double tapped to turn on or off to prevent accidental activation. Now let's get over to Ankara. Watch out for solar flares when navigating around stars, as they can crisp up your fleet. Also, these are stars, not the sun or suns. Don't be a dumb earther. An important tip: if the planet has a station, you can dock at either the station or the planet. It makes no difference. The station screen. There's quite a few options here, but we're not going to go through all of them right now. For demonstration purposes, we'll undock from the station and land at Ankara, which is tagged with the very helpful yellow exclamation mark. Once docked at Ankara, we'll press 1 to open up the comm directory where we can find people of interest, including Decker, the station commander we're looking for. Anyone who has something for you will be tagged with the yellow exclamation mark. There are some additional dialogue options which will give you some background lore, but we'll be skipping those for this playthrough. Decker is assigning us a mission to sneak aboard an enemy pirate station and meet a contact who has information on hostile pirate fleets. To do this mission, we'll need to stealthily approach the station with our transponder off so the pirates can't identify us. We've been given the Go Dark ability, which reduces our engine emissions and thus our sensor profile, making our fleet harder to detect. It'll also reduce our thrust, however, so we'll have to use the ability wisely. We'll also learn the emergency burn ability, which instantly boosts our burn level for a short time. The emergency burn, however, uses supplies as well as additional fuel, so we'll only use it if we absolutely have to. Let's practice using the market while we're at Ankara. By selecting the third option while docked, we can open up the market page for Ankara. You'll see a variety of goods being offered, but we're only interested in the essentials right now. We have a good amount of supplies and fuel, and we can always salvage more of those. What we can't really salvage, however, is additional crew. So while we're docked, let's hire enough crew till we hit capacity, and since we're only trading in very low quantities, we'll use the black market. By using the black market, we'll avoid the massive tariffs placed on legal goods. To check your suspicion level, we can hover over the black market tab. Our current sus level is none, so we have nothing to worry about. So once we've finished placing our order, we'll undock from Ankara. Now we need to get over to that pirate station. Since we know it's in system, it's as simple as pulling up the system map with tab, locating the station, and right-clicking on it to lay a course. We'll make sure our transponder is turned off and start moving. We can maintain our sustained burn for now, but once we get closer, we'll need to turn it off as it makes us far easier to detect. Once we can see the station on screen, we'll turn off sustained burn and approach the station cautiously. We could use the Go Dark ability at this time, but as long as we don't see any sensor contacts, we can move much faster normally. Looks like there's a fleet just on the other side of the asteroid belt, but their sensors are weak, so we'll sneak in without needing to go dark. Once we've arrived at the station, we'll need to go to the comm directory to meet with the agent. Once we've done that and received the data we needed, we're all good to go. A quick tip about pirate stations: they really don't care and seem to prefer it if you land without a transponder on. You'll be able to access both the open market as well as the black market without consequences, and you'll be able to trade as much as you like on a pirate black market without any suspicion. Pirates don't care if you are trading illegal goods. Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. Where were we? Leaving this station and getting back to Ankara, the patrol fleet on the other side of the asteroid belt has no idea we were even here, so nothing to worry about. Let's get back and talk to Decker. We'll be given a small reward for a job well done, and also gradually boost our relationship with Decker and the hegemony, as we've shown we can be trusted. What's next? Well, there's a problem. To stabilize the jump point in the system, we're going to need an AI core. Without going too deep into StarSector lore, AI cores are pieces of advanced technology from the early stages of colonization within the sector. We're going to need to salvage one from a nearby survey probe within the system. The hegemony generally does not want the public to know about these AI cores, as the hegemony likes to be in control of everything. Just like my wife, for this mission, we'll be given a very useful ability: the active sensor burst. The best way I can explain this ability is you divert all power to your sensors, which will stop your fleet and scan a huge area around you. Very useful for finding hidden objects in space. This piece of the tutorial is especially important to understand because not all objectives will have a nice yellow exclamation mark telling you where to go. For this mission, we'll need to find the survey probe ourselves. The only hint we have is that it's around Pontus, a gas giant in the outer parts of the system. So to start with, we'll fly over to Pontus. We could fly around for a long time looking for this probe with just our basic sensors, but that would take a very long time and consume a lot of our sanity, supplies. That's where the active sensor burst comes in. We've arrived by Pontus. Let's hit that sensor burst and see what we can find. We might not be able to see anything on main screen visual, but our long-range scanners picked something up. When using the active sensor burst, it's best to keep an eye on the long-range scanner as it can detect entities beyond direct visual range. Let's fly over to see what the blip was. As we get closer, we'll get another blip as the entity comes into standard sensor range. And there it is, the domain era probe we're looking for, with another nice yellow exclamation mark to show it's the one we're looking for. Here's the fun part. When exploring old domain technology, some of the systems may still be intact, including the automated defenses. If we wish to salvage the probe, we'll first need to defeat the automated defenses. To battle we go. Automated defenses can vary in size, but the good news is they consist of mostly outdated and unmaintained drones, lacking shields or high-tech weapons. These drones should not prove difficult to disable. The Salamander missile that our kite comes equipped with can easily disable the drone's engines. Once those pesky drones are destroyed, we can get to looting the old domain technology. But what do you do if there's too much loot and not enough cargo space? That's when we prioritize what's most valuable. Let's say we try to take everything. We get a red warning bar in our cargo area showing we have taken too much cargo and too much fuel. This is very bad and we'll need to leave a few things. Something that's very useful in StarSector is that you can control click if you are over capacity, and it'll automatically remove as much of that item from your inventory until you are within your capacity, rather than just the entire stack. So that was the battle salvage. Now for the actual domain probe. We get the usual 4 salvage materials, but also a gamma core. We'll also take the heavy machinery as well as the supplies. Now why would we do that? When we're over capacity, it'll drain additional supplies, but if we're only over capacity in supplies, then our cargo will naturally balance out over time. There is also often an additional salvage opportunity within the leftover debris field, so we'll take what we can find from there as well. Alright, back to Enkyra. As the days go by, we'll get several reminders that we are over capacity, just in case we accidentally overloaded. Since we are over capacity, you'll see by our burn level that we are significantly slower. In hostile space, this can be very dangerous, as mobility is very important, so be careful if you are trying to overload your cargo. You'll also see our burn level slowly creep back up as we go through those extra supplies. We'll hand over the gamma core to Decker so that brilliant AI can get to bean counting, but the problem remains that there are pirates guarding the jump points out of the system, so nobody gets in or out until they are gone. Now dealing with these pirate fleets would be very difficult in our 2 little ships, so Decker has an idea. There is a ship graveyard near Tetra, one of the other planets in the system. We can head there to recover some of the derelict ships, and to recover derelict ships, we'll need additional crew. For this task, Decker will be providing us with a Mudskipper transport. While the Mudskipper is in no way capable of combat, It can transport a lot of crew for its size, so let's get this Mudskipper ready to fly. First we should repair it at the dock, which will be option 4 at the planet screen. This option lets you instantly repair the ships in your fleet and restore them to full combat readiness if you have the supplies available. The total cost to repair is the same either way, so it's generally a good idea to get repaired at stations and planets if you can afford it. To load up on crew, we'll be heading back to the market at Ankara. Since we're still trading in small quantities, we'll continue to use the black market and avoid tariffs. You don't always need to max out your crew, but since we are looking to grow the fleet, we'll pack the crew in tight. Since we're docked at a planet, we'll talk briefly about refitting your ships. Refitting is the term used in StarSector when referring to altering and customizing your ships. We can easily navigate to the refit screen by pressing R in the station menu. These hotkeys are so good! So this Mudskipper, it has one job, and that is getting your crew from point A to point B, and then putting said crew onto better ships. We don't need capacitors, we don't need vents. What we need is militarized subsystems and an unstable injector, so we can go fast! The reason for this is the Mudskipper has a single gun, and that gun's one job is to cover the one tiny engine from missiles. So for a ship that should never be deployed in combat, we strip it down for speed. It's that easy. We'll then give this wonderful ship a name it deserves. Our other two ships have great loadouts, so no need to tweak those at this time. Our shipbox Mudskipper is good to go. Let's head to the graveyard for a fun night out. We'll plot a course for Tetra, which is where Decker said the graveyard is located. Ship graveyards are pretty rare out in the sector, and finding them when you are starting out can be a huge boon to your fleet strength. Once we get closer to the graveyard and start picking up the ship holes on sensors, we'll turn off our sustained burn so we can better navigate. We'll need to left click on each hole to interact with it, so you probably want to zoom in for this part. When attempting to recover ship holes, there will be ships that are easier to recover and some that are more difficult. The difficult to recover holes will require a story point to restore. Luckily, we don't have to make this decision blindly. By selecting the green highlighted option, we can inspect the ship hole in question to see if the recovery is worth a story point. The ship we are looking at is a Condor light carrier. The Condor is a solid ship, but this one has 3 D-mods as shown by the orange bars next to its icon. You may choose to recover the ship, or you may choose to salvage the ship if you think the supplies are more valuable and wish to save the story point for later. We'll salvage the Condor for supplies and continue through the graveyard. Any ship that is difficult to recover for now, we'll salvage so we can save our story points. We then come across a Dram tanker, which is an easy recovery and does not cost a story point. This ship is a perfect size for our little fleet, so we'll absolutely recover it. We can then see we can hold way more fuel than before. Now we'll head towards one of the biggest fish, a Hammerhead destroyer. The Hammerhead is an excellent frontline ship that will make sure to grab, as it doesn't cost us a story point. Next, we'll be grabbing a Wolf, which we already know is a great high-tech frigate, the same as our starting ship in this playthrough. As we recover more and more ships from the graveyard, we'll need to keep an eye on the supply and crew cost to recover each ship. We won't want to recover more ships than we have supplies and crew for, so we'll need to choose wisely. The yellow and blue bars in this window give us a great visual on what we can afford. Up next is a Buffalo. Now the Buffalo is technically a destroyer, but it's a very bad destroyer with no shield generator. Since it'd cost us a story point, we'll turn this one to scrap. We find another Kite, which will be a nice little addition to the fleet, and last but not least, a Lasher frigate. The Lasher is a great frigate that can put out a lot, just like my wife, of firepower for its small size. It might not be as nimble as a Wolf, but it'll make a great addition to our fleet, so we'll use a story point to recover it. That was the last derelict in the Tetra graveyard, so we'll head back to Ankara once again. We've hauled a bunch of ship holes back to Ankara. Now what do we do? We'll see what Decker has for us in the comm directory. And speaking of weapons, we'll need something to shoot at the pirates with. Decker will be giving us access to the local storage space on Ankara, which has a number of weapons and supplies waiting for us. We'll need to head back to the refit screen and look at our options for how to equip our Rust Bucket fleet. But before we do that, Decker fills us in on the next stage of the plan. There are 2 pirate fleets guarding the jump point, which if we can separate will make the fight much easier. There's something else that caught my eye that could help in the upcoming fight. In the comm directory, there's an officer for hire. You can sometimes find officers in the comm directory of planets eager for a job. Check their resume before hiring to make sure they are a good fit for your fleet. You need to pay your officer's salary as well as a hiring bonus, but it's well worth the cost for what they can provide to the fleet. Let's hit up the market now and see what Decker has for us. This would be a good time to sell any excess scrap you may have been carrying after the salvage run. Looks like Decker hooked us up pretty well. We've got an assortment of weapons and 100 units of supplies ready to go. Let's transfer all of these to our cargo hold and head over to Refit by pressing R. We'll start with the Dram tanker and work our way down the list. Much like the Mudskipper, the Dram should never be deployed in combat. It's not capable in a fight and would cripple your fleet if destroyed. Also, there's this lovely scroll bar with pictures of all your ships in your fleet so you can quickly switch between them. It's very nice, I love it. So what do we do with the Dram tanker? We make it fast! Militarized subsystems, safety overrides, and an unstable injector. That will get our speed from 120 to 195. We'll then spend our last ordnance points on a couple cheap weapons. Now that Hammerhead, beautiful ship, but how do we configure it? Custom refitting can be very confusing for a new player. There's a lot of options. Let's make our lives easier by checking out the Auto Fit button. In the Auto Fit screen, we can automatically refit our ship in pre-made variant loadouts. We'll choose a balanced approach for our Hammerhead. The Auto Fit will then take weapons from our cargo and equip them onto the ship, while trying to adhere to the Auto Fit variant as closely as possible. This is an amazing feature that will save you a lot of time refitting your ships. The autofit left us with one extra ordnance point, so let's take a few points out of capacitors and fit another hull mod in. Hardened subsystems will do perfectly for us, and then dump the rest of the OP back into capacitors to finish the loadout. The weapons are a bit lopsided for now, but functionally, the autofit makes sense. Last thing you always should do before finishing a refit is check the weapon groups. Pressing auto assign will almost always do the work for you, but a few minor tweaks can make things perfect here. To make things as simple as possible, we'll make sure all guns are set to auto fire except the main battery and missiles. For the Wolf, ooh girl, what happened to your nails? Let's get this Wolf the assault package, just like our starter Wolf. And much like the Hammerhead, we'll take a few capacitors out and hook this Wolf up with hardened subsystems. And why? If we take a look at our D-mods on this Wolf, we've got degraded life support and faulty automated systems, both of which reduce the maximum combat readiness of the ship. If we sent this Wolf into battle without hardened subsystems, it would fall apart very quickly. Always look to see if you can mitigate D-mods through clever hull mod installation. It might save your ship. This kite is mostly good to go, so we'll push it along with the standard loadout. Just one quick tweak is drop the capacitors for militarized subsystems, since we will absolutely be conscripting this little guy into combat. And finally the Lasher. The Lasher is a flexible combat frigate with many potential roles, but we'll keep it simple for now and opt for the close support loadout. Weapon groups are perfect, so this thing is ready to go. One last check through weapon groups for all ships, which I always recommend doing before takeoff. You will have a very bad time if you forget to set your groups. Not necessary by any means, but I also like to sort my ships in the fleet screen. Biggest ship class in the top left, then most combat capable vessels sorted left to right. For frigates, the tiers currently are Wolf, then Lasher, then Kites. Fuel tankers and cargo freighters at the bottom right. Simple as. I do this in all my playthroughs. My mom thinks it's the autism, but I just like an organized fleet, alright? One thing we almost forgot to do is assign our newly recruited officer to a ship. If an officer is not assigned to a ship, they won't be doing anything for your fleet but collecting an easy salary. So let's head back to the fleet screen and get them a ship. Assigning officers is very easy, and all you need to do is click the silhouette next to one of your ships. Mr. Vanilla and our buddy Cabrakan both have helmsmanship, so we'll keep them on the faster ships. Cox here has skills that boost shields and the ship's system, which will pair well with our Hammerhead. StarSector is a truly amazing game as you can pilot any ship you'd like within your fleet. You might want to pilot your largest ship and assume the flagship role, or assign an officer to your largest ship while you captain a smaller speedy ship, picking off isolated targets. There are many ways to play StarSector, and it's up to you to decide your fleet doctrine. The big fight we've been preparing for all this time is about to happen, as we need to clear away the two pirate fleets guarding the jump point. But like any good series, there needs to be a massive cliffhanger. We can look forward to fighting those pirate fleets in episode 3. If there's anything I forgot or anything you'd like to add, leave some comments for the community down below. I appreciate all the feedback I got from episode 1 and hope you enjoyed episode 2 as well. If there's any specific StarSector videos you'd appreciate seeing, like mod reviews or guides, I'd love to hear suggestions, as I'm trying to plan what to make after this series is finished. As always, press buttons if you enjoyed the video and think I'm doing a good job. I've also got more links down in the description if you want to see more. Cheers, my friends. I'm IroncladLion, and I'll see you in the next episode.